Each discussion assignment is organized into three different categories. Categories may vary between chapters depending on what best fits the topics in that chapter. The first category is Economics and You. These types of discussion questions help you to connect topics from the chapter to everyday activities, professional activities, and in some cases, personal experiences and/or future careers. So, let's begin at Chapter 19 and the Gross Domestic Product, or GDP, which is how we measure the size of the economy. In other words, add the value of all goods and services produced in the country in a given year, and that is the GDP. It is also referred to as the nation's income. One question you may be thinking about is how you can identify GDP in your current work life, or how you see this topic playing out in your next career move. One way to answer this question is to think of the GDP as a measure of whether the country is materially better off in respect to jobs and incomes. Two factors that you do consider when you make decisions about your job or a career move. The next category is economics and theory. These types of discussion questions address the concepts in economic theory. Many of the questions in the forum ask you to explain and apply, again, economic principles based on real or practical experiences that you may have had over time. So, for example, if we use the GDP example again and add the distinction between nominal and real variables, most specifically real and nominal GDP over time, then a question to consider is, how does the difference between nominal and real GDP numbers affect your personal and/or professional choices? To this end, consider conversations that you have had about prices in your own life experiences over the last 2 years. I am sure you can reasonably conclude that prices have increased exponentially over that time. But what is a reasonable way to quantify the change over time, and as important, which set of numbers, real or nominal, is closely aligned with your income and expenses? By using real variables to quantify the change between prices, this will help you to alleviate some of the confusion between the two. You will learn how to quantify these in more detail in Section 2 of Chapter 19. The third category is economics and policy. These types of discussion questions explore how economic policy impacts everyday life. Again, a factor that affects everyone. Let's say, for example, human capital and the labor marketplace. If we look at the cost of doing business, personal day-to-day expenses, and the overall health of the US economy, one question to think about is what policies are in place or could be in place that could ease energy prices. With rising energy prices, although hard on consumers, are good for producers. Bear in mind, this is not only about gas prices in the national market, rather energy prices affect the global market as well. So there is a domino effect from production to consumption. These answers will depend on the capital flows of the economy in a given time frame that will be addressed later on in this semester. Overall, the discussion questions were prepared as authentic assessments, meant to pique your interest in the topics each week. The goal is to help you apply the concepts and theory in a practical way and gain a better understanding of macroeconomics.